Have you ever caught yourself hesitating at the top of a staircase, gripping the railing, heart pounding, because you're not sure your legs will hold? Or looked at your grandkids running in the yard, wishing you could join them, but your body screams, you can't? That sinking feeling, the one where you wonder if you're slowly becoming a shadow of who you used to be, hits hard after 50. I'm Dr. Thomas, a physician with 30 years of helping people just like you rediscover their strength. 5 years ago, a patient named Margaret Thompson walked into my clinic, her eyes full of fear, saying, "Dr. Thomas, I'm losing myself. I can't keep up anymore." Her story, and the 3 simple exercises that brought her back to life, could change everything for you. No gym, no fancy equipment, just 15 minutes a day to reclaim the freedom to move, to live, to be you again. Stick with me, because Margaret's journey is about to show you what's possible when you refuse to give up. Meeting Margaret, a cry for help. It was a chilly Seattle morning in 2020 when Margaret Thompson shuffled into my clinic. At 62, she was a retired schoolteacher with soft gray curls and a smile that hid a deep sadness. As she eased into the chair, clutching the armrests like they were her only anchor, she looked at me and said, "Dr. Thomas, I'm disappearing. I can't keep up with my grandkids. I can't even walk to my mailbox without feeling like I'll fall. I'm scared I'm losing me." Her voice cracked, and I saw the weight of years in her eyes, not just physical pain, but the heartbreak of feeling like her life was slipping away. Margaret's story wasn't new to me. Over 3 decades as a doctor, I've seen countless patients face the same fear, the slow erosion of their strength, their independence, their identity. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 adults over 60 reports feeling unsteady, and falls are the leading cause of injury in this age group. But for Margaret, it was personal. She told me about the life she used to love, dancing with her husband, David, at local barn dances, tending her rose garden until her hands were caked with soil, chasing her grandkids, Sophie and Ethan, through the park until they all collapsed in laughter. But over the years, that life had faded. Years of sitting at a desk, grading papers, followed by avoiding movement out of fear of pain, had left her body weak and her spirit broken. "I feel like a burden to my family," she admitted, tears welling up. "I don't want to end up in a nursing home. I just want to feel alive again." As a physician who's studied human health, psychology, and movement for 30 years, I knew Margaret's body wasn't the problem, her lack of movement was. A 2020 study in the Journal of Gerontology confirms this. Muscle disuse, not age, drives physical decline in older adults. Margaret's body was like a beautiful old house, still strong, but neglected. All it needed was the right care to shine again. And that care came in the form of 3 exercises that would change everything. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face." Margaret was about to face her fear head on. The science of starting over. Before I dive into Margaret's journey, Let's talk about why these 3 exercises are so powerful. Your body is a miracle of adaptation, even after 50, 60, or 70. I've spent decades studying how movement, psychology, and health intertwine, and here's what science tells us. Your muscles don't give up because you're older, they give up when you stop challenging them. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that targeted, low-impact exercises can improve strength and reduce fall risk by 23% in older adults. Even more exciting, neuroscience shows that your brain's ability to rewire itself, called neuroplasticity, stays active your whole life. Every step, every lift, every intentional movement tells your brain, we're still here. We're still capable. The 3 exercises I gave Margaret, the glute bridge, the wall incline push-up, and the chair squat, are like a master key to unlocking your body's potential. They target the deep muscle chains that keep you stable, upright, and moving freely. They don't need a gym, fancy gear, or hours of your time. You can do them in your living room, in your favorite sweatpants, at your own pace. And they don't just strengthen your body, they rebuild your confidence, your sense of control, your life. Let's walk through Margaret's transformation and see how these exercises changed her story. Exercise 1. The glute bridge, rebuilding the foundation. Margaret's biggest struggle was her lower back pain. She couldn't stand for more than 15 minutes without wincing, and walking to her mailbox, a short 50-yard trip, felt like climbing a mountain. I suspected her gluteus maximus, the largest muscle in your body, was asleep. Years of sitting had turned it off, forcing her lower back and knees to compensate. A 2018 study in physical therapy backs this up. Weak glutes are a primary cause of back pain in older adults, contributing to everything from poor posture to joint strain. I showed Margaret the glute bridge, an exercise so simple it feels like cheating. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. Slowly lift your hips toward the ceiling, squeezing your glutes like you're holding a quarter between them. Hold for a second, then lower back down. Push through your heels, keep your core tight, and breathe. Inhale as you rest, exhale as you lift. I told Margaret to start with 10 reps, 2 sets, resting 30 seconds between sets. You can do this on your bedroom floor, I said. No equipment, no excuses. Margaret was skeptical. Lying on the floor? That's gonna fix my back, she asked, one eyebrow raised. I explained that the glute bridge wakes up your glutes, aligns your pelvis, and takes pressure off your spine. It also improves blood flow to your legs, helping with issues like swelling or varicose veins. After a week, Margaret called me, her voice brighter. Dr. Thomas, I stood at my kitchen sink washing dishes for 20 minutes yesterday, no pain. That was just the start. A month later, she walked to her mailbox and back without stopping, a small victory that felt like a miracle. A small story, Jack's comeback. Let me tell you about Jack, a 66-year-old patient who loved woodworking but couldn't stand long enough to finish a project. Like Margaret, his glutes were weak, causing knee and back pain. After 3 weeks of glute bridges, Jack called me from his workshop. "Doc, I built a birdhouse today, stood there for 2 hours, no problem." He wasn't just building birdhouses, he was rebuilding his purpose. That's the power of the glute bridge. It's not about looking like a fitness model, it's about living the life you love. The first twist, Margaret's fall. 3 months into her routine, Margaret faced a moment that nearly broke her. She was walking her golden retriever, Rusty, in the park when she tripped over a tree root. She didn't fall hard, but she twisted her ankle and landed on her knees. When she limped into my office the next day, her eyes were red, her voice heavy with defeat. "I knew it," she said. "I'm too old for this. I thought I was getting stronger, but I'm just kidding myself." The fear was back, the fear that she'd never be steady, never be free. I sat across from her and said, "Margaret, this isn't failure. It's feedback." A 2021 study in the Journal of Gerontology shows that consistent exercise reduces fall risk by 40% in older adults, but setbacks are part of the journey. Her fall wasn't a sign she was too old, it was a sign she needed to keep building stability. We tweaked her glute bridge routine, focusing on slower, more controlled movements to strengthen her core. And I introduced the next exercise, one that would help her stand taller and move with confidence, even after a stumble. Exercise 2, the wall incline push-up, standing tall again. Margaret's posture was another challenge. Years of hunching over lesson plans had given her a rounded upper back, a condition called thoracic hyperkyphosis. It wasn't just about looks, it caused neck pain, shallow breathing, and constant fatigue. A 2019 study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that poor posture reduces lung capacity by up to 30%. Making daily tasks feel exhausting. Margaret admitted she avoided mirrors because she didn't recognize the hunched-over old lady staring back. "I used to stand so tall," she said. "Now I feel like I'm shrinking." I introduced the wall incline push-up, a gentle way to strengthen her chest, arms, and core without stressing her joints. Stand about arm's length from a wall, feet shoulder width apart. Place your hands on the wall at chest height, lean in slowly, bending your elbows, then push back to the starting position. Keep your body straight from head to hips, and breathe out as you push. I told Margaret to aim for 8 reps, 3 sets, moving slowly to feel the muscles engage. Think of it as telling your body, "I'm standing proud again," I said. Margaret laughed. "Push UPS? At my age? You're joking, right?" But the wall made it safe, and within days, she felt her shoulders opening up. After a month, she stood noticeably straighter, her chest more open. She shared a moment that took her by surprise. At a family barbecue, her granddaughter, Sophie, ran up for a hug. For the first time in years, Margaret didn't wince. She hugged Sophie back, feeling strong and present. "I felt like a grandma again," she said, her eyes shining. That hug was worth more than any prescription. A small story: Sarah's awakening. Another patient, Sarah, 60, came to me after years of working from home, her posture wrecked from endless laptop hours. She felt stiff and tired, like her body was stuck. After a few weeks of wall incline push UPS, her neck pain faded, and her breathing deepened. At her son's wedding, she stood for photos and caught herself in a mirror. "I didn't look tired," she told me. "I looked alive." That's what this exercise does. It doesn't just lift your chest, it lifts your spirit, making you feel like you again. The second twist, the reunion invitation. 6 months into Margaret's journey, something unexpected arrived in her mailbox, a letter that changed everything. It was an invitation to her 40th high school reunion, a big dance event in her hometown of Tacoma. Margaret had been a star dancer in her youth, twirling across the floor with David at every school dance. But she hadn't danced in over a decade, not since her body started betraying her. "Dr. Thomas," she said, clutching the letter, her voice trembling, "I want to go. I want to dance with David again. But I'm terrified I'll fall or make a fool of myself." This was a pivotal moment. Dancing wasn't just about movement, it was about reclaiming a piece of who she was. I could see the spark in her eyes, but also the fear. As Maya Angelou once said, courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Margaret needed one more tool to get her to that dance floor, something to build the strength and confidence to move freely. That's when I introduced the final exercise. Exercise 3, the chair squat, the key to independence. Margaret's deepest fear was losing her independence. She struggled to stand up from chairs without help, and climbing stairs felt like scaling Everest. This is common. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that weak leg muscles increase fall risk by 40% in older adults. Margaret had stopped squatting years ago, afraid her knees couldn't handle it. That avoidance created a cycle: less movement, weaker muscles, more fear. The chair squat was the solution. Stand in front of a sturdy chair, feet shoulder width apart. Slowly lower your hips until they touch the seat. Don't sit fully, then push through your heels to stand back up. Keep your chest lifted, core tight, and eyes forward. I told Margaret to start with 10 reps, 3 sets, resting for 45 seconds between sets. For an extra challenge, I suggested a resistance band above her knees to engage her gluteus medius, a muscle key for balance. "The chair's your safety net," I said. "It's there to catch you." Margaret was nervous. "What if my knees give out?" she asked. I reassured her, "The chair makes it safe, like a friend holding your hand." After 2 weeks, she felt stronger. After a month, she could stand from her couch without using her hands. But the real breakthrough came 4 months later. Margaret loved her rose garden, but bending down to prune had become impossible. One spring afternoon, she spent 3 hours planting and weeding. No pain, no fear. "Dr. Thomas," she said at her next visit, her voice thick with emotion, "I got my garden back. I didn't think I'd ever do that again." A small story, Henry's triumph. Henry, a 69-year-old patient, had a similar story. He loved fishing but couldn't stand long enough to cast his line. Chair squats changed that. After 8 weeks, he took his grandson fishing for the first time in years. "I stood on that dock for hours," he told me, grinning. "My grandson said I was his hero." That's what the chair squat does. It gives you back the moments that make life worth living. The night of the dance, Margaret's moment of truth. The night of the reunion arrived, and Margaret was a bundle of nerves. She'd been practicing her exercises diligently: glute bridges in her living room, push ups against her kitchen wall, squats with her dining chair. But dancing was a whole different challenge. Would her body hold up? Would she trip? I got a call from her the next morning, and her voice was shaking not with fear, but with joy. "Dr. Thomas, I danced. I danced with David all night." People I hadn't seen in 40 years came up to me, saying I looked like I was 30 again. I felt alive. Then she told me about a moment that still gives me goosebumps. Halfway through the night, the DJ played Unchained Melody, the song she and David danced to at their wedding 35 years ago. As they swayed, Margaret felt her body move with a strength she thought was gone forever. "I wasn't just dancing," she said. "I was telling my body, we're not done yet." I felt like I was 25 again, twirling with David under the stars. That moment wasn't about the exercises, it was about the courage to believe in herself again. The science behind the magic. Why did these exercises transform Margaret's life? It's not just about muscles, it's about rewiring your body and mind. A 2022 study in Neuroscience Letters shows that intentional movement strengthens neuromuscular connections, helping your brain coordinate movement more effectively. The glute bridge rebuilds your foundation, taking pressure off your back and knees. The wall incline push-up restores your posture, opening your chest and boosting your breathing. The chair squat gives you the strength to stand, walk, and live independently. Together, they create a system of stability, confidence, and freedom. But there's more. Exercise changes your brain, too. A 2020 meta-analysis in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that low-impact strength training boosts endorphins, reduces anxiety, and improves self-esteem in older adults. Every rep you do is a message to your brain: I'm in charge. I'm capable. That's what Margaret discovered: not just a stronger body, but a stronger sense of self. As Nelson Mandela once said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Margaret did the impossible, and you can too. The heart of it, your pain, your dream. If you're over 50, you know Margaret's pain. the ache in your knees when you stand up, the fear of falling when you step on uneven ground, the quiet shame of not keeping up with your kids or grandkids. It's not just physical, it's a dagger to the heart. A 2023 study in psychology and aging found that fear of physical decline is a top concern for older adults, right up there with losing loved ones. It's the fear of becoming a burden, of watching life pass you by while you're stuck on the sidelines. But here's the dream, the one burning inside you. You want to run after your grandkids, laughing until you're breathless. You want to carry your groceries, tend your garden, dance at your daughter's wedding. You want to look in the mirror and see you not a stranger weighed down by age. That dream isn't gone. As Oprah Winfrey once said, the greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. These 3 exercises, done 15 minutes a day, 3 times a week, can turn your dream into reality. Your action plan. Start right now. Ready to rewrite your story? Here's how to begin. 1 glute bridge. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat, hip width apart. Lift hips, squeeze glutes, lower slowly. Do 10 to 15 reps, 2 to 3 sets, resting 30 seconds between sets. Breathe out as you lift. 2 wall incline push-up. Stand facing a wall, hands at chest height. Lean in, push back, keeping body straight. Do 8 to 12 reps, 3 sets, moving slowly. Breathe out as you push. 3 chair squat. Stand in front of a sturdy chair, lower hips to touch seat, stand back up. Do 10 reps, 3 sets, resting 45 seconds. Try a resistance band above knees for extra stability. Start with 15 minutes, 3 times a week. If you feel pain or have medical conditions, check with your doctor first. Listen to your body, go at your own pace, and celebrate every rep. Progress might be slow, but every step is a victory. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Decide to be strong. Decide to be free. Join our Living Fully After 50 community. This is where you come in. I want to hear your story. What's holding you back? Back pain, shaky balance, fear of falling. What's your dream? To dance, to garden, to play with your grandkids? Drop a comment below. Share your challenges, your hopes, or just the word courage to show you're ready to start. Your story could inspire someone else to take their first step. If Margaret's journey moved you, join our Living Fully After 50 community. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let's walk this path together. Share this video with someone you love, a friend, a parent, a spouse who needs a spark of hope. Because here's the truth, your age doesn't define you. Your courage does. Closing, the lesson of Margaret's dance. Margaret's story taught me something I'll never forget. Your body is a story, and you're still writing it. At 62, she thought her best days were over. But with 3 simple exercises, she didn't just rebuild her strength, she rebuilt her life. She danced with David, tended her roses, chased her grandkids. She became the hero of her own story, proving that age is just a number, but courage is everything. As a doctor, I've seen the science. Movement rewires your body, boosts your mood, and cuts your risk of falls. As a human, I've seen the magic. Patients who thought they were too old rediscovering their joy, their freedom, their selves. Margaret's dance wasn't just a moment, it was a declaration: I'm not done yet. And neither are you. So, take that first step today. Do one glute bridge on your living room floor. Try one push-up against your kitchen wall. Stand and sit from a chair with purpose. Every move is a sentence in your new chapter. Leave courage in the comments, and let's show the world that after 50, your best days are still ahead. As Maya Angelou said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. Let's live fully after 50 together.